the Namekian, and welcome to part 9 of my Let's Play of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. When last we left, we were rescued from our predicament by some Laguz warriors, and we are making our way to the capital to see the king. And on the way, we got waylaid once more by Dayan soldiers. Oh joy. Now, this map has two different terrains that we have to deal with that I will get into when we start, but first we have a bit of an interruption. So basically with that, we got two new characters. Mist, which is she's a pretty good healer in her own right. If you don't want to use Raise, she's a pretty good. I use her a lot more as a backup healer whenever I need a second one, at least for a little while. She's not bad. You would have to pump some XP into her if you want to use her as your prime healer. Is the only really downside. Rolf is... How should I put this? He can be a very good archer. The problem is he starts off way too low level to be of really any help starting off. So you would have to pump in a bunch of your bench XP in order to get him leveled up initially so that he could actually do stuff to level up. I never really found a need to use him. So he's pretty much a benched unit. I've got enough mages that are more powerful than him for range needs. So I kind of just bench and ignore him. But if, especially on easy mode, when you get a lot more bench XP, feel free to pump that in there. He'll become at least somewhat helpful. Now, as far as movements goes, you're going to want to keep at least one unit moving to the left. Because your Gallia soldiers, they're when they kill, they don't get the XP for the kills. So this basically stealing XP from you. So it's good to have someone go and take out those units instead of them, so that you're just not wasted. And Titania is an easy choice, since there's a variety of enemies. There's the armored, spear, sword, and mages, that she's probably the safest bet for you to do. Ike's another pretty good choice, but you're gonna want to keep Ike in that upper area, at least starting off. So Titania was my choice to move over there. It's not a whole lot of XP that I get from her because of her already being in the second tier, but it's at least better than wasting it on those allies. That's basically what they're kind of discussing here. They're allowing us to kind of explain a little bit about the whole, not really explaining about, saying that they're sort of like the green allies, but you can kind of tell them what to do to some degree. I just keep them pretty much out of enemy reach throughout the whole map. As far as moving down, you have those two different sets of terrain. You have your typical path, sort of foresty like terrain, and then you have that beach, which is a sandy area. The sandy area does not work so well with mounted units, and generally, if you're not a mage or a healer or a thief, you're gonna have a movement penalty. Not as bad as it will be later on in these sort of desert-like areas, but you will be penalized. The enemies in this general area are actually quite challenging, especially the pirates. They can actually do some pretty good damage if you're not paying attention. Plus, their gear is poisoned or cursed or whatever, so that it does additional damage after they hit you. like an idiot, I forgot to actually redirect them. And since a lot of the units down here are axe users, even though they can do some pretty good damage when they hit, it is definitely a good map for Maya to shine a little bit. She's definitely a whole lot more helpful than she was in the last map, and it doesn't hurt to actually level her up since she is a good unit to have. So here we are, Marcia again, that we rescued back in map 3, 2, something like that. She is another new recruit that we get on this map. Now, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings for this particular unit in this game. Some say that she's awesome, and some say not so much. I am one of those ones that if you put in a lot of effort and level her up all the way, she is an average unit at best. I can think of at least 3 other flying units that you're going to get that are better than her. So, yeah, she's not that great. In my opinion, so I'll definitely be benching her quite a bit. If you do want to level her, though, there's definitely worse characters that you get, but just keep in mind that, especially on the harder difficulty settings, she's probably not going to be your best choice. Now, the introduction to these 2 new NPC enemies, you may think because one of them has a name that he's recruitable as well. He is not. I don't really know the reasons why, but for whatever reason, in both Path of Radiance here and Radiant Dawn, you do not have pirate characters or the pirate class that you can control, which is really weird. I don't know if this is the first time in the series that's the case. I do know on the other English releases that pirates are indeed a class that you can use, and they level up to the Berserker, I believe, or something like that. They're pretty interesting units. They can dual wield axes and walk across rivers and lakes and stuff like that. I really don't know why they're not a playable option in these two console release games, but whatever. But one thing to keep in mind is when you do see these 2 characters appear, their goal is going to be to wreck those houses that are over to the left. So if you haven't made your way to visiting those houses yet, then that's going to be what you're going to want to do, is to make a beeline for that particular direction. Now, both of those units are actually, I would say that they are actually more dangerous than the boss on the map. You have to be very careful in attacking them and such. One of the odd things about them is, although they are pirates and they can not walk on water, but walk through the water spaces, they are really, really hindered as far as movement goes. I do know in the previous games that they are hindered, but not to this degree. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple of maps in which they're in it, which that's mighty grateful. But it's just kind of odd. Yeah. So since they are limited to certain movements, it does give you a little bit of freedom, not just to get to the house, but plan your attacks on them. You know, it takes them a lot of time to get to any of your squishy characters, basically. And basically, since Ike is way over there, and due to the hindrance of the sand beach-like area, I go ahead and basically switch his place with what Titania was supposed to do originally, and clear out the mobs up here. It is a whole lot tougher if you've already used up that regal sword, but since I have been keeping that unused, I was able to use that without too much of a problem. Now, this is kind of interesting. Throughout the rest of this game, since you've been now introduced to the Laguz, there are a couple of houses that won't give you something, or may give you something different depending on the character that you use to enter the house. Normally that isn't the case, and what I mean by character, I mean like if it's a Bjork or a Laguz. It doesn't matter which human or Bjork or whatever that you enter in as. Just, it's kind of weird that would be the case. I don't know if, obviously that wouldn't make a difference here because you don't have control over any of the Laguz units that could visit the house anyways. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they would do that. So basically, up to the boss now. He's a little bit of a threat because of it being a spear. Or he has a spare, he just doesn't have it equipped yet. Sorry. So basically, I just whittle him away and steal as much XP from him as I can. You can see from that Night Killer that it's actually kind of dangerous for me to be attacking with Titania or even Oscar. He will... Well, he missed. He will sometimes have a critical major uber hit because specialty of the weapon that was not shown on that pre-fight menu gauge thing. So there goes the baddie. Technically the map is over with, though I won't be ending it quite yet. And why my victory music isn't playing, I do not know. But basically I spend the rest of the map grinding out XP for my healers, so I can be leveling them up. So I will leave that excitement for you guys. Thanks for watching, and God bless.